The First Minister in fine form there today, taking on all comers. Do you think, though, he's feeling under pressure?
I think he is. I don't think that he wanted to make this statement today to the Assembly. This was very hastily arranged. It was added into the order papers, I think, last night. It was something which was raised in the Assembly yesterday by Jim Allister. Why has this been given to the media before the Assembly? You're treating this House with contempt, all those sorts of allegations. And the Speaker, who obviously, his background is in the DUP, although he obviously as Speaker is there to represent all the MLAs, but he quite tellingly said that he agreed on some of the points that Jim Allister was making in terms of the criticisms there. So I think they were quite hastily maybe brought into the Assembly and probably were trying to put down some of the criticism that there's been, some of the cynicism over the last few days about
So, I mean,
this.
overall there's a real sense, is there? Do you think that, that the launch of this hasn't been handled as well as it might have been handled?
It hasn't been handled well at all. I mean, I was phoned by OFMdFM the night before saying this is happening tomorrow with very few details. They didn't seem to know that it clashed with a quite important security briefing at the NIO about the G8 the conference coming with the Chief Constable. It was very hastily put together. It had this sort of feel of a funding application where the Secretary of State had cracked the whip. She said, you need to do something on a shared future if you're going to unlock this money, and they came up with something. The fact that they didn't involve some of the key ministers, such as Stephen Farry, means that I don't think they should be surprised that those people are not best pleased.
And of course that led to this so what comment that we had from John O'Dowd on The View on Thursday night. A lot of people didn't like that.
I think it was very telling. I think it probably gave away too much from Sinn Féin's point of view about some of the approach of some of their ministers to the executive. They don't, I think, want the SDLP or the Ulster Unionists to up sticks and leave the executive. That was the sort of comment that almost would push them into having quite a credible case to say to the public, well, you know what, they just don't want us. There's very little point in us being there.
A lot of people have been saying what's on the table at this stage could have been agreed by all of the parties quite some time ago, frankly, because there's nothing hugely controversial in it. But those other key issues, like flags, parades in the past, remain unresolved, and this working group, this all-party working group that's to be established, still has an awful lot of work to do.
It's got all the work to do, really, because we've got an all-party working group, which is the executive. It is, you know, on some days it doesn't have enough business to have a full meeting. So it's odd that you would push that away from the executive into an all-party group. It seems difficult to see how they can come out of that with something. If the two main parties can't agree it in private, how can they agree it with all of the other parties around the table?